This video is basically to answer a follower's question. So one of my followers asked this question: what are we really looking for during routine checks? And I did reply in the comment section that I was going to create a video to answer that question. So basically, during routine checks, what we are looking for is any abnormalities that could be from, say, the hatchery, or that is as a result of our environmental conditions, and also any abnormality in the feeding habits of the birds, the general health status. So for example, this is a 2 weeks old chick, and we do these routine checks periodically, say from the first day, and weekly we check to make sure that all birds are in a healthy stages. So what are we looking for? We are looking at the beak of the chick, if it's in order. We are looking at the eyes. We are looking at the feathers, if they are developing normally. We are looking also at the general body of the chick, if it's in good condition. If you crowd chicks a lot, they are going to fight at the feed pans. That is, you have to understand that sulking density is very important. And when they fight on the feed pans, you have scratches. They fight and they have very sharp nails. So they are going to use the nails to fight and scratch and push each other. So evidence of that will be on their body. You have scratches, you might have wounds and things like that. It basically means that these birds are too crowded and they are scrambling for food or water. So the space has to be expanded or increased. We are also looking at the texture of the crop of the chick. It should not be too hard. If it's too hard, it means the chicks are feeding normally on the feed lines, but the water lines might be too high and they are not drinking enough water. So by eye gauging and adjusting the water lines, you could think that the water lines are okay, but the chicks are stressing, they are not getting to the water. So when you make these routine checks and look at the texture of the crop, you can easily adjust water lines based on what information the chicks are giving you. So the texture has to be a mixture of both feed and water, okay? Not too hard and not too soft. If it's too soft, it also means that the birds are not feeding enough. Maybe there is a problem with the feed, so the intake has dropped, okay? So you have to adjust that. Maybe the feed has a lot of salt or something, or it's not balanced enough, or they don't like it. So all of this information, you have to collect it and then adjust appropriately to make sure that your chicks are growing normally. So the quality of their legs at different ages gives us information on the quality of the floor, okay? The floor conditions. If it's too moist, the birds will start developing lesions under their legs, okay? And if it's dry and normal, the birds are able to play, to run over, then you will have less lesions under their legs. If the floor is wet and the humidity is really high inside, let's say we have excess water going to the floor, what happens is the waste that they produce comes in contact with water and starts producing ammonia, and ammonia is not very good for the birds when they rest. It's going to affect their rest, and it's also going to affect their legs since they rest on the floor. The condition of their legs can give you information on how well the floor is. You might look at the floor and think it's okay, but the birds are saying otherwise. So you will have to adjust the conditions to match the welfare of the chicks. Why is having their legs in the best conditions very important? Because when these lesions become wounds, the birds can no longer walk freely to eat and to drink, so they will stay in one position, avoiding the pain that is coming from the lesions. And the birds will not be able to feed normally, and then at the end of the day, you will have a lot of disuniformity. The good birds that have no lesions will do very well. The ones with lesions will not be able to meet up. You are also going to have birds starving to death, which is very bad. So it's important to make sure that at all times the birds are in the best possible health status. So those are some of the things that we are looking at. At a much younger stage, we are also looking at the levels of the birds. It should heal within the first week, 7 days. The levels, when the chicks arrive, their levels should have healed. So when we do the routine checks again, we are checking all of this. We are also looking at the conditions of the anus of the chicken, because it has a lot to tell us of the gut. If they are producing wet poop, which could be diarrhea or whatever, the anus becomes one of the points of interest, because you are going to have poop somewhere here, either dry or wet. In severe cases, it's going to be wet, telling you that the gut is not in good shape. Okay, something is wrong. Maybe they are drinking a lot of water, something could be wrong with the feed, and they are trying to dilute the salts that are in the feed and things like that. It means the feed is not balanced. If all other conditions are appropriate, then it could be the feed, it could be the environment. If it's in summer, they drink a lot of water, you expect to have some watery poop, but it should be healthy, not sicky. They should not be sick. So those are some of the conditions that we check for. Like I said before, the conditions of their legs are very important. They should be very healthy. Their wings also should be healthy. They should not have signs of fighting, and it should not be broken, injuries or whatever. We want them to be in the best possible health status. So having said that, I will take a recap again. I said we have to look at the birds. The beak of the bird has to be in good shape. The eyes of the birds have to be in good shape also. When the bird is sick, one of the first places that you're going to see a lot of issues is with the eyes of the chicks or the birds when they are big. So it's a point of interest. Like I said before, the crop is also very important, telling us about their feeding habits, what is happening with them. Generally, they should be in a healthy state at all stages. That's what we are looking for. So we are looking at them, we are looking at their body, we are looking at the feather development at different stages. It's deep if it's in order, because it has to be in order for the chick to feed properly. The general body for any injuries, if the chick is not feeding properly, if they are fighting and all of that. So you can see that the body of this chick is in perfect condition. Also the legs have to be in good shape. Therefore the eyes, the beak, all have to be in order. The texture of the crop is also very important. It tells us a lot of their feeding habit if they are taking the water and the feed together. So you see, the anus has to be clean and the navel has to be healed. We want their legs to be in order, because it affects their feeding and their general welfare. They cannot move, eat, drink, play, normally have their dust blads if they have lesions underneath their legs. So these lesions come from poor flow conditions, which, like I said before, should not be allowed to deteriorate to that stage, to get to that stage, because it's going to cause a multiple effect. It's going to affect the feeding, the general health stages of the bird, feeding, playing, dust bathing, thinking, and ultimately the weight gain and the uniformity of the flock will be distorted because of that. The general welfare of the chick. So we do random sampling from different spots within the band. Of course, we cannot sample all the birds, but we do randomly to make sure that at least a representative percentage is checked to reflect the image of the flock that we have.